Well, welcome to the podcast. Nathan Newberry here, your host. I have Shamara or Star Cox on the show here with us. Super pumped for you guys to hear her story. She's a TV producer. She's a marketing coach. She teaches people how to build a personal brand. And you're going to hear from her story and her past and the challenges that she built up to, the accomplishments that she's been able to build. She has her own podcast. She shares a lot of information and success on that. She has her podcast, Wisdom to Wealth. You guys are going to hear her story. And toward the end, I want to talk about some tactics of what she really kind of views how to build a personal brand too. So stay toward the end. We're going to hear from her on those techniques. Before we dive in, down below in the show notes, I want to give everybody a gift. There's a free workshop I put together of how to build a 6 and 7 figure brand. And building a personal brand, just like we're going to talk about today, is really important in today's world. And so I want to give some techniques around how to run ads, how to leverage AI, build a media team, build a sales team around helping you build and help you build a bigger impact. So go check that out down in the show notes. Star, as we dive into it, I want to hear your take on this question I ask everybody, which is, what is high performance? What does that mean to you? How do you apply that and look at that in your life?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So before I actually answer the question, I learned last year that I was a high performer. I didn't
Mm.
know that. It wasn't until I read the book. I forgot who was the author right now, blanking on it. But I read the book and I was like, oh, I actually match a lot of these things. It helped me because I was in a dark space last year.
Hmm.
And like understanding my identity, God was showing me, like, this is your personality. I felt like I was in a dark space surrounded by people where they didn't understand me. And when I understood that I was a high performer, I was like,
Yes.
oh, this is why. And so to me, high performer means these are people who have high energy and the ability to do work, produce results without any excuses.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what's going on in your life, you can do it without any excuses. That's what a high performer is to me.
And I think you touched on something that the reason why I love having people like you on this podcast, guests like this, is high performers are so misunderstood, and it is very lonely being an entrepreneur and being on that driven spot. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is, many of the listeners here probably can really relate to that with that. But talk to us about from the audience, to give them a background of who you are, a little bit around how you serve people right now. And then we'll go into your origin story, but I want to hear like your plug. If someone was doing an introduction for you even more, how do you help serve people even more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I help 6 and 7 figure business owners who are looking to get seen and get paid by creating video content on social media. My goal is to help them to create binge worthy video content so that now when they're putting it out, people are actually attracted to their brand. A lot of my dream customers, they are people who they have a powerful message. They have built their business and their brand through word of mouth and referrals. And now they're being called to the spotlight. They're being called to reach people on a larger scale, but they don't know how to do that.
Mm.
They know I need social media. They know I need something on the internet, but they're not sure how to do that. And then that's where I come in and I help them to explode their personal brand by sharing their authentic story, sharing their authentic message. And here's the best part. I teach Bible marketing secrets. So I show them how Jesus did it so that now they can do it as well. And a lot of my clients, like, they have just seen such success. Like, one of my clients, she went from 474 followers on TikTok, barely any sales, to over 40,000. And now every time she posts, she knows what content gets her followers, what content gets her engagement, and what content gets her sales. And she's just one of the persons who I love talking about. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much what we do because I've seen how Jesus was able to do it. I actually asked Holy Spirit, teach me how Jesus did it.
Mm.
He showed me. And then I went and I now teach everyone else how to do it as well.
I love that. I love that. No, no, you had talked about, being vulnerable, about being in dark places. Sometimes that's not always easy. Like, bring us back to the very beginning of your origin story. Like last year, you realized, hey, I'm a little bit different. Now you're a high performer. It's kind of like just a definition in a way, like taking a identity personality test or something. You're just like, oh, I could see that about myself. But bring us back to the very beginning of like, why are you wired a little bit different than most? What is, some of the challenges that maybe you've been able to encounter building up to the success that you've had now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. In my mind, I'm like, do I go back to when I was in diapers or after college? Okay, I choose after college. I worked in television for over a decade, probably like 14 years. I worked in television, and my previous job, this was 5 years ago now. I've been clean from my corporate for 5 years now. But I was working at this major TV network, and all I ever wanted was to be an executive producer, choose the shows that gets greenlit on television, and tell people what to do. Like that's all that I want to do. But I found myself in this career where I was overworked, I was underpaid and undervalued. And when I would give an idea, it would be great, but it would go to someone else, right? And I didn't get a chance to see it through. And that was really frustrating. And I remember getting to a space where I told God, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to give up like trying to chase my dreams in this field. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to go have a pity party. But the entire time, this is all day I'm thinking this. And the entire time I'm thinking it, I hear this tune in my head. It's like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what is that? And so when I leave my job that day, I say, let me just put the song in my ear so I can just get it out my head. I got to get it out my system now. And as I'm walking to the train station, I'm like right on 45th Street in Manhattan. As I'm walking to the train station, I'm hearing the song, and it's by Sunday Service, and it's a Kanye West group. And they're saying, sing until the presence of the Lord comes down. That's what they're singing. And I'm like, wow, I decided that I was going to have a pity party. And God said, instead of having a pity party, go home and have a praise party. So I went home. I wrote a note on my door that said, don't come in unless you're going to praise with me. And I just started singing and dancing. I mean, I was going in, all the dance moves, right? So I'm singing, I'm dancing, singing and dancing. I'm crying. I've never done this before. So I didn't even know what to expect. And I remember in that moment, there was just like this, something just came and it like pushed me against my furniture. And I remember thinking to myself, I think I'm supposed to fall now. And I fall to the ground, and this cold air out of nowhere just encircles my body. The windows were closed. This was January 2020. So cold air encircles my body, and I hear a whisper that says, quit your job. And I'm thinking to myself, ain't nobody quitting their job, God. That sounds crazy. I'm not doing that. But then he says, why are you so afraid? And it hit me. I was so attached to this 9 to 5. I was miserable. I was unhappy. I was underpaid because I was afraid to leave, because how was I going to make money? And so in that moment, I said, okay, I'm going to quit my job. But I did ask God to remind me of my experience, because I would act like it was a dream the next day. So the next day I went into the office and I did quit my job. I like to say that that's where it all ended. It didn't. They kind of looked at me like, you're not going to give us 2 weeks? And I thought to myself, God didn't tell me to give 2 weeks. So I ended up giving 2 weeks in that moment. 2 weeks later now, I'm getting ready. This is my last day. And they pull me aside and they say, we really want you to stay. We want to offer you a 13.5K increase for you to stay. And I'm like, wow, God, you really did it. Like all I ever wanted was to make some more money. So I said to God, okay, I can take this increase. God says to me, you can choose to take the increase, or you can choose to break the spirit of fear in your family. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what that means. I should take this increase. And I remember this was the weekend that Kobe Bryant died. And I thought to myself, I cannot make this decision based on fear again. I need to live my life to the fullest. And so I chose to walk away from a career over a decade. And I chose to just follow where God was leading me over the next 8 months. I mean, COVID hit. So I was like, you told me to quit my job and we're in the middle of COVID now. But over the next 8 months, it was just me at God's feet, learning how to hear him speak, prophesying, like all the things, and just healing my soul. And then 8 months later, he told me to start creating content full time. And I thought, that's such a weird thing to do. Like, I should be looking for other jobs. But as I started creating the content, I started going viral on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm like, what? People actually want to hear what I have to say? But I recognized this. When I was going viral, my follower count was going up, but my bank account was not. And so I went to God and I said, okay, we're getting followers, but I'm not making any money. And that went and it broke a belief in me, because I always thought the more followers, the more money you make. And God was like, here's why you're not making money. You don't have anything to offer. And it was in that, this time it was about June 2021. And that's when I started my business. And I was scared. I did it so afraid. Like, I didn't know what to sell, I didn't know what to offer, but I just knew that this provision that God had provided for me for the year of not working was running out. I found myself on the floor to God, like, what do I do next? And he was telling me the brook has dried up. It's a reference from Elijah's life where he was in the cave and the ravens was feeding him bread and there was water from the brook and it dried up and God told him to go to the next place. So I recognized that if I stayed there, that my story would end there. So I had to get up and go. I made my first offer to someone. It was $97 and she purchased. I made another offer to someone, $475, and she purchased. And I said, wow, people just out here paying me money. And then I made another offer for $5K and that person purchased. And then I just kept making my offers and build my business. And I recognized how simple it was to just show up authentically on social media, not just social media, right? Like this is marketing, period. How to just show up, share your story, serve, and then you'll actually just get a return on your investment.
Yeah. Talk to us about from that time that you were making nothing, how many either parents or family were doubting that decision and the resilience you had to just say, no, stop, and then keep on pressing forward?
That is a great question. So when I quit my job, I didn't tell anyone. I kept it to myself for like 2, 3 months because I couldn't hear any naysayers. If I heard naysayers, I wouldn't have done it. So that's something I had to keep to myself. And then when I was starting my business, my family was actually really supportive. So I have a super supportive family. But I also have a very, like, God is very supportive. I don't know if your audience is Christian. He's all over my story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, same with me.
but I remember when I went to God, I said, okay, you're telling me to make this offer. You're telling me to create something. I asked him for a business coach. I said, I need you to send me a business coach. And he said to me, you find the coach and I'll cover the cost. And so because of that relationship with God, and then I have a supportive family, I didn't have anyone in my corner who was like telling me, don't do this. But I also was wise enough not to let a lot of people in because I don't want to kill the seed that God has given me in its infant stage. Like I knew that I had to protect the seed. And in protecting it, I had to keep it to myself and only a select few people knew. So it really wasn't until maybe 2022 when I was in so many coaching programs in 2022. But after that is like my business took off. That's when more people started to understand that I was an entrepreneur. Like a lot of people didn't even know I quit my job.
So you're almost thinking that you're doing side by side and you're like, man, you're hustling, doing everything, bouncing. And you're like, no,
No, not at all.
just bouncing this.
Yep.
What do you feel like were the key things that really picked up your business? What was it? I mean, you had an offer, but what was it then that kind of really inspired? Give us some tactics around some of that.
The number one thing that really took my business to the next level was hiring not just one coach, a plethora of coaches. So when I had asked God to send me my first business coach, he did something even better. He sent me 2 business coaches. So I had 2 business coaches, one where I got to work with intimately and another where I worked on a larger scale, like in a group coaching program. But not only that, he sent people to build my funnels. He sent for free, mind you, because this is like a faith move. But then I also hired an SEO and keywords coach. I hired a stocks and options coach. I had a PR coach. Like I had a coach pretty much for every area that I need to cover. And I probably invested about $50,000 in coaching in 2020, between 2021 and 2022. Now, this was at a time in my life I hadn't worked in nearly 18 months, nearly 2 years at this point. So I had every excuse in the book not to invest. But here's what God was showing me. I had a poverty mindset and I had a money block. And this poverty mindset was telling me, don't invest. Like if you invest, you may not make the money back. And I know some people, like, you still hear that voice. If you invest, you may not make the money back. But I had to tell myself, like, there is a principle in the Bible that says, those who sow sparingly shall reap sparingly, and those who sow generously shall reap generously. That's 2 Corinthians 9, verse 6. Either I was going to honor this principle or I was going to honor my fear. And so I said, let me sow. And I sold in 2022 nearly 50K. I only made $21,000. And I went back to God crying, like, what's going on? You told me to invest. I did this. I did all the work. I only made $21,000. And God said, but you now know how to create wealth. And I realized what he was doing, because you know that saying that says, give a man a fish, he eats for one day. Teach a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime. And other people can eat too. That's what God was showing me. He's like, I can send you the money, but instead I'm going to show you how to create wealth. And so now that's a skill that I have that can never be taken away from me. Like, even if I'm freaking about finances or clients, it's like, oh, but I know how to create wealth. Like I'm good. And then 2023 hit. I received a prophecy that said God was going to bless my business. In 3 months, we made $30,000.
That's awesome.
So it's so, what is it? So seed time harvest. I had to sow the seeds in 2021, 2022, right? And then time had to mature. So it hadn't matured yet in 2022. But by 2023, it was harvest season. I reaped a 6-figure business in 2023 from it.
Yeah. What are some of the techniques if someone was starting out or wanting to scale? Sometimes many of like the testimonials you have, like with a gal that was, at 400 followers, and now she's at 40. Add another 0 to it. Like, and even what you teach. What are some of the things that you really suggest? Let's talk like tactics, practical things here. Shifting into this, what would you teach and share with people?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm actually just going to do this one like how I teach my clients Bible marketing secrets, right? So like Jesus was able to build such a popular brand. Today, people are still converting, right? So if we go to Luke 5, this is where he met the disciples for the first time. They were fishing all night, right? And they couldn't catch any fish. And then here comes Jesus coming to them and he's like, cast your net again. And for them, they're like, no, we already did this. Like, I'm not going to do that. We already did this. It didn't work. And he tells them, cast your net again. And so they end up casting their net, and then they end up reaping like such a big reward because they cast in their net again. And right after that, he tells them to follow me, for I'll make you fishers of men. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at that story, the first thing that I noticed is that Jesus saw a need. Like he recognized they had been fishing all night. So to anyone who's listening, what is the need of your people? Because that's how we want to show up. We don't want to show up with, this is what I want to give them. I meet business owners who do that all the time. This is what I want to sell. That's nice. You want to sell a thing that people want to buy though, right? So Jesus did not walk up to those people and go, hey, let me fix your sandals. He saw that they were fishing all night. So he said, cast your net again. He gave them the solution that was going to help them. That's the other thing. When we see a need and we offer our solution, make sure it works even before they invest. Because Jesus didn't have them invest in him yet. He just said, I want to help you get a quick win. So when we're on social media, the goal is for them to get a quick win. Whoever's watching your videos, they should get a quick win from your videos so that they know that it works. Because ultimately, you want them to see you as the truth. Like, oh, I did what Star said. I didn't even have to pay for this. I did what Star said and it worked. I wonder how much more it will work if I invest, right? And so now here, the disciples, they caught the fish and they caught a plethora of fish, right? The next thing Jesus says, he gives them a call to action. Follow me, for I will make you fishers of men. Oftentimes people are on social media, they're creating their content and they feel icky selling in their videos. They feel icky giving out call to actions, but the goal is to let your audience know what to do next because they want it. They want it. And notice like Jesus' call to action, it wasn't just a follow me. He said, follow me, for I will make you fishers of men. It was enticing. Like, here's what you're going to get next. Here is the outcome. Here's the transformation. Right? Like, it's not just follow me. Like, what is the transformation that you are offering your audience so that when they hear it in the video, they will actually come. They will actually listen. They will actually do the work. Right? And so that's just something that I teach my clients. Another thing, I'll just share this one. I like talking about this because I always hear social media gurus say like followers are vanity metrics, right? And I understand why they say that. But when I look at Jesus's life, he had a mission, right? His mission was to save the world, but he had a 2-part strategy for that mission, which was to grow his following and convert those followers into believers. He, at no point did he think that followers was vanity metrics. He knew I need to grow my following first so that I can actually convert them, right? And so understanding that like Jesus, he connected his followers. He didn't collect them. Like some people on here, they're just collecting them. But if we understand that we're building a community and that community is strong, they're going to ride for you. They're going to ride for one another, and not any community. We want to build a loyal and buying community. That's the difference of what I teach my clients. You don't just want anyone loyal and engaged, because loyal and engaged, it doesn't always equal to paid, but loyal and buying does, right? So when Jesus was building his community, he was intentional because he knew I'm going to convert them into believers, which is also our strategy. We want to convert them into buyers. Well, what are buyers? Buyers are believers who believe that you can help them get their transformation. And if they don't see that, they'll follow, but they won't buy, right? So we want to make sure that we're following the 2-part strategy. If it worked for Jesus, I mean, it worked for me and it works for a lot of my clients. It will definitely work for you.
That's so good. I love that. And I know that so many times people shift that, right? Like you're saying, they want to give, they want to add value, but they just don't say that. They don't put that out there. And I think that's really important. What are some things that you're doing right now to leverage AI in your business and what you teach?
Man, ChatGPT is probably my CFO, COO, like my business bestie, everything. So I'm leveraging AI in order to create the content, right? But let me take it back a little bit. It's not just create the content, it's actually speaking to your dream client. Like what I teach my clients is how to speak directly to your dream client, how to speak their language, right? So really understanding who is this person, what is their need, what are their desires, and what's their personality. Like that's how we're leveraging AI to do that. Then from there, we can create the content. After creating the content, how do you analyze the content using AI so that now you know what to keep posting? But here's the thing, oftentimes when business owners are starting out on social media, they think the goal is, let me just grow my following. But actually, no matter what platform you're on, you want to know these three things: what content to create that grows your following, what content to create that builds the engagement, and what content to create that gets you the sales. And so I'm teaching my clients how to use AI in order to understand that, because the goal ultimately is, no matter what platform you're on, you want to monetize it, right? And we monetize it by converting our followers into customers. So like that's one way specifically for social media, but also like I teach them how to use AI for email marketing, like how to tell your stories, how to connect with your audience, how to build out your sales pages. Like all of it has to do with messaging when I'm using AI. I mean, I use it for personal stuff too. Like how do I drop 10 pounds? Like what should I eat? What should be my workout? Like it's
Everything,
part
yeah.
of my life at this point.
Yeah. What are some like standards that you have your students hold that makes it easier for them to just say, if you just hit this leverage? Because I think there's elements of like motivation, like now I can see it, but then creating those little habits and standards that they follow to success. What would be those things?
Yeah, I'm going to start with mindset first,
Okay.
because when it comes to building our business or building anything, really, it's 80% mindset, 20% skill set. And so, like, I could teach all the skills in the world, but if your mind isn't there, you're never going to do the work. So, every day I'm telling my clients, like, you want to make sure you're fortifying your mind. Like, what is it that you need in order for you to keep going? Like, last week, I was in a dark place. Clearly, these dark places happen all the time. Like, you could be super emotional, you could be really sad, right? But that's not an excuse to not do the work. I think oftentimes people think just because I'm sad or just because I'm going through something, I shouldn't do the work. Like, no, you still got to show up. It's your business, right? But how do you fortify your mind so that you are actually doing the work, right? So that could be a plethora of things. Like for me, it's like affirmations that I'm saying, but not just any old affirmations. These are promises that God gave me. So I'm speaking those over my life. It's having a strong community. Last week, when I really felt like I couldn't do it, I texted my friends, like, hey, I'm struggling right now. And they just started pouring into me, and that helped me to get up and do it, right? So that's having a strong community. What's your morning routine like? Right? Like, how are you starting your day? How are you creating your day so that you're the one who's in charge of it and your emotions isn't the one that's running your life? Right? So, like, just those simple things when it comes to mindset. And then when it comes to creating those habits around the skill set, is focusing on the money making activities in your business, right? Like, we can get so caught up in 24/7 creating content, and that's nice. That is one way to make money, right? But there are other ways that you want to make sure you're implementing so that you're also making money. And I feel like, especially with business owners who are just starting out, they don't know that. So they're always like, I got to write the emails and I got to shoot the videos. And it's like, but you can also prospect. You can also engage and have conversations with people too.
Mhm.
Right. So, like, really understanding what's bringing in the money in my business and doubling down on that each day.
What are some things that you would say like on different platforms? Is it stories? Is it like how many reels or YouTube videos that they need to create? Have you found like some things that have been really big? I mean, I know YouTube is probably more impactful than the 24 to 48-hour window that maybe a reel or a post would give. What are some strategies that you point people to when they're optimizing and setting up?
Yeah, so I don't focus on the features of any platform because those features don't really matter. What matters is really understanding the three things that I mentioned before, which is what content grows your following, what content grows your engagement, what content gets you sales. Because when you're doing that, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, it doesn't matter who your dream client is, they're always going to come, right? So once my clients understand that, they can choose to use whatever feature they want. So I'll give two examples. Christina, where she was able to grow her brand to 40,000 followers, I teach a live strategy where you can go live and get sales. And then I also teach a strategy where you can get sales from your pre-recorded videos. She hated going live.
Mm.
It made her like just freeze every time she had to go live. And so she decided, I'm just going to post my TikTok videos and get my sales that way. And she did. Her TikTok video went viral. She grew her brand, was booked up for 2 months. I couldn't even get my mama on the schedule. That's how booked up she was. Right. But then I also have a former client. Her name is Christiana, also experienced success. And she decided, I'm only going to do live videos because her audience wasn't really resonating with her pre-recorded content.
Hmm.
So every time she goes live, she gets sales, right? So it's not the feature, it's you're leveraging the content, your message, your storytelling. Who are you talking to, right? When are they likely to show up with their wallets? That part is important. I think a lot of people are just looking at their analytics and going, my audience is engaged during this time. Okay, but do they have their wallet in their hand? Like, that's important too. So it's really just understanding that. Once you know that, whatever platform you go on, you leverage where your strong points are. Like for me, I'm strong live. So no matter what platform I go on, my strategy will always be grow the following, get them on my live videos. But some of my clients, they're not strong lives.
Mm.
So their may need to be, okay, let's grow the following. Let's get them to convert from the pre-recorded content. Maybe it's carousels. I have a client right now where she thrives on carousels and not videos. And I told her, do not post videos. I mean, she could if she want to, but I told her to leverage your carousels so that you can keep getting the sales that way. And then of course, there's a heavy focus on DM marketing if you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok, not necessarily on YouTube.
Do you teach outbound strategies, or you sell by chat where it's complete conversion, or do you do halfway where then you book it to a sales call? How do you suggest people leverage those sales?
Yeah, so it depends on what your offer is, but this is the strategy that I love to teach, right? Like when you're putting out your content, you then want to make an offer, and it could be a low cost offer. I don't typically like to say do a freebie or yeah, I don't really like doing freebies. It could be a low cost offer, like something that's $27, something that's $297, and then from there you get them into your pipeline, right? So let's say you're doing a 5-day challenge, you get them to purchase the 5-day challenge, you serve them in the 5-day challenge, and then you upsell them, right? So instead of showing up on social media with a million trillion offers, you just have one offer, and it's a proven offer that so that you can keep, and you want it to be evergreen too, so that you can keep on putting that offer out. So now when people are opting in, you do everything else on the back end to get them to stay in your pipeline, you do everything else on the back end to get them to keep upselling and upgrading. So really social media is, if you think about it, it's like window shopping, right? Like people are walking by, your page should be a way that attracts them to come in. And then from there, you do everything on the back end. So I always tell my clients, do not keep them on social media. Don't keep your people on social media, because if TikTok ever does get shut down, Instagram glitches at least once a year. Oh my goodness, we're probably due for a glitch now, right? You don't want to be reliant on these. You want it to aid your business. You want it to add to your business.
Do you offer lead magnets? Is that how can you get people in too, or is it mostly just a lower ticket offer?
So a lead magnet could be a paid one. So for me, like when it comes to my email list, the lowest that I have for a lead magnet is like $7. Like that's nothing for someone, right? But the goal really is, so this is my mindset. The goal is to see who the serious buyers are, right? And then a person who purchases from you once will most likely purchase again, right? So if you're offering a lot of good content, because that's the other thing. Like sometimes someone may come to me and say, hey, do you have this for free? The free is on my page. That's what the content is for. You
Right.
can literally take everything that I teach and then you can take it and build a 6-figure business. You won't because people pay to pay attention. So if you're getting it for free, you're not going to value it anyway. So if I offer you a low cost item, now it's like, oh, I've invested something, so I actually want to pay attention. Okay, so that's $7. But then let me invest in a $297 offer. And now I'm serving you. You're actually getting me. I'm going to be there with you during the challenge. Like I have a 5-day challenge. It's called Convert Content to Cash. For that, we have a VIP experience where you could come in, you can ask your questions, we give you coaching, and then we also teach you how to create content that sells in 5 days or less. Right. So during that $297 offer, you're getting like 10 hours of my time, one week a month, right? Well, just for one time, depending on how many times you pay for it.
Mm.
From there, they're like, oh my goodness, they're getting results. They're getting the experience. They're understanding, okay, this is Star's coaching style, and we're vibing. So now they want to upgrade into something else. So typically that's how I like to teach my clients. I mean, you could offer something free if you want to, but I much prefer teach my clients how to do like lead magnets that has a price attached to it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Do you have any MRR models that you have, or is it just a higher ticket offer?
Just higher ticket offer for me. Yeah. I really thrive selling high ticket. I have tried to do low ticket. Did I try? Maybe I didn't really give it a chance. But it's much better. To me, it's much faster and easier to sell high ticket than it is for me to do like a low ticket. I mean, I see all the MRRs out there. It's just not my thing right now.
Do you run any ads, and do you teach anybody that?
Nathan, oh my goodness. I ran ads last year. It was the worst experience ever. I invested $1,800 a month for ads. This included the person who was like, creating them and whatnot. Ask me how much money we made.
0.
Oh, okay. That was cool. Okay. We probably made like $300. That was 6 months of running ads. And it had developed in me. It confirmed for me, I should say, that organic is better for me and my brand. And here's why. At the time that I was running the ads, I kept hearing like, if your organic is good, then the ads will just add fuels to the fire and it will take off. That never happened for me. We brought in less people. We made less money. We actually spent way more than we should have. And the majority of the sales that were coming in was still from organic. So for me, I just do not run ads. I probably won't anytime soon again. And if I do, maybe it'll be YouTube ads or something. And I probably want to work with like a team who just has a different strategy.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
So I love going to tactics with this. And then you have your podcast. Talk about that strategy of how that's been able to help add some more time to you. Because I know that Google came out with that thing where it's like 7, 4, 11, thing where it's like there's 7 hours that someone consumes your content at 11 different times and then 4 different platforms. Like I teach a lot of my students that omnipresence is really important, but you still have like the key, platforms that you leverage off of. But like how do you incorporate your podcast with the, the long form strategy of, priming people with everything?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question because I was sharing this with you before we started recording, but this was a strategy. I learned it from my business coach, and it was something that God told me to do. And I remember I didn't want to do podcasts at all because the way that I was getting the majority of my clients was that I would go live, I would teach them something, and then I'll tell them to opt in. They'll purchase live, then they'll join my challenge. From my challenge, they will upgrade into something else. And so that's how I was able to build my business. And I started to second guess myself because I recognize what happens is you can only be reliant on the algorithm for but so long. Like if the algorithm is not pushing your content, that's going to impact the sales. So I got to a point last year where we weren't bringing in as much money, and God was telling me to do this podcast, and I'm like, I don't want to do this podcast. I just didn't see the value in it, anything. So for 2 weeks, I dragged my feet, just trying to record these podcasts. But then something miraculous happened. I started meeting amazing people because my podcast is called Wisdom to Wealth. I interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. So in order to be on the podcast, you have to have at least made $250,000 in your business in revenue, right? So now I'm talking to all these people who already have surpassed me in business. I was discouraged, and here they come encouraging me like, oh no, every business owner goes through that.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Okay, right? And so because of that, I'm able to build a relationship with them, right? And then from there, they're asking me about my services. They're booking me for speaking engagements. They're booking me to be on their podcast. My entire network opened up in 4 months where like I'm going to Costa Rica to speak at a retreat. I'm flying to Atlanta to speak at a 1-day conference. Someone just hired me into their mastermind. I met her. No, she hired me as her marketing strategist. I met her through the podcast. So I started to understand like, oh, wow, this actually opens up opportunities. But here's where it really hit home for me. As I said before, my original strategy was to go live and then convert my followers into customers. My podcast, the only thing that did was it it enhanced my skills. I was already great live. My podcast is live. Now I'm just live with someone else. So what it's allowing me to do is to bypass the algorithm and touch a different audience, because this person has an audience. And then it also opens up opportunities for me, but not just for me, but also for the podcast guests, right? Because
Right.
I'm able to serve them. Some of them, I've used some of their services and some of their offers as well. So we now just create this relationship and this network where we just keep supporting one another.
How do you balance traveling? Like you're going down to Costa Rica. Would you still do your daily lives? Like, how do you balance going on vacation and trips doing 4 days a week?
Yeah. So no, I just tell my audience that we're not having a podcast for that week. Like this week, we're not having a podcast because we have the challenge going this week. Because the challenge runs during the same times as the podcast. We
Yeah.
shoot our podcast Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's okay. It's totally fine that we're not showing up for the podcast because we have other content that's going out. Like podcast is just one strategy, but I still go live with my audience. I still post video content. But if I'm going on vacation or I'm doing a business trip, is make sure I prepare. I have my team that helps me out so that they're still posting the content. But most importantly is engaging with my audience, right? So that they know that we're still here to support them. We also have emails that are going out. We don't only rely on social media marketing. We also have email marketing as well.
When you go live, do you go live to all the platforms or is there one particular that you go live on?
So when I first started, I was only going live on TikTok. And that's fine because I was able to like build up, understand like, so I don't know if you've done this, but do you sell from the stage?
I've tried on different webinar stuff, but yeah. Do you do that on your podcast?
So, well, I don't sell for my podcast. I guess I do sell for my podcast. But the live strategy that I teach is like selling from the stage. Like if someone invites you to an event and you're speaking, you're teaching, and then you're selling. Now, granted, I've never done that before, but I've worked with coaches who have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in order for me to perfect my live videos, it's not just going live and teaching something. That's where people go wrong. That's why they're not getting sales. Like this is a 1 hour webinar that I'm teaching you on these platforms.
Yeah.
Right. So I used to go live and then invite people to a free webinar. My business coach was like, don't do that. They're already at the free webinar. Sell to them. And that shifted my mind. So I would go live on TikTok first. Then Instagram allowed the capability for me to go live on Instagram as well. Then ended up getting StreamYard. So now I go live on 3 platforms, and I'm getting ready to start doing YouTube as well. So it'll be all 4 platforms.
LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. What's the other one?
TikTok.
TikTok, Instagram. You said LinkedIn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that strategy of like how you end up doing that because that's so interesting in how you do that. 4 days a week, you do content. How often do you do stories yourself?
So I don't post, you mean like IG stories and TikTok
Yeah,
stories?
yeah.
I don't leverage that at all. I
Interesting.
just don't. Yeah, because for me, it's not a good use of my time. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but it's not a good use of my time. My audience loves me live. So I leverage live videos the most. So I'm live at 8 a.m. Was it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And then I'm live 12 p.m. for my podcast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then sometimes I have
So you do 2 lives a day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And sometimes 3 lives.
So the lives that you do, are those the webinar styles of stuff? And then the other lives is the podcast? Is that how you do it?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like that.
Do you do the same content or do you kind of vary, like do the different webinar styles?
Oh, it's different. It's different. So with my live video, specifically for TikTok and Instagram, I know what works. I just shifted to YouTube and LinkedIn. So I'm testing what works over there. So again, the goal is to understand what gets the followers, what gets the engagement, what gets the sales. So when I'm live, I'm only choosing specific topics so that I'm teaching the thing that my audience wants to pay me for. That's something that I teach my clients too. Like oftentimes they hear things from gurus that are like, post educational content. Okay, so they start posting the educational content, but it barely gets views, it barely gets engagement, and doesn't get any sales. And what they don't realize is that you want to post the educational content that will get people to buy from you. Like, what is the thing you need to teach that people actually would pay for? So for me, I'm just constantly like, okay, let me see if they're going to pay for this. Will they pay for this? Right. So TikTok is pretty much dialed down. Instagram is pretty much dialed down because I started LinkedIn in January and YouTube like last month. I'm still testing my content over there and the topics over there.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I've really appreciated like talking to you around like tactics, and then hearing your heart and your story. I mean, it's so inspiring to hear other Christian entrepreneurs crushing it, and they have a story to tell. They have the mission about them, where it's like it's not education from a textbook. It's like you're pouring from you. Like this is your mission. Like you're super passionate about because you're helping so many people do this. Where can people follow you and connect with you more?
Absolutely. So I do have a 5-day challenge called Convert Content to Cash. So you can actually just head to contenttocashchallenge.com if you want to join us for the VIP experience. You'll be able to learn how to create content that sells in 5 days or less. Again, I do teach Bible marketing secrets. So I do show you from the life of Jesus, from King Solomon, how they were able to grow a brand so largely and then be able to convert. And then you can follow me on any platform. My handle is at Book of Star. If it's on Instagram, it's at Book of Star _
I'll put those links down in the show notes. Go follow her, go connect with her further. She's an amazing person. You guys are going to love learning and connecting with her further. Again, as well, down below in the show notes, you have other information about that workshop that I designed to help you build an online business. So thank you so much for being on the show and tuning into the episode, and we will see you on the next episode.